My friends, time for another candy review. This time, Original Snaps. Classic chewy candy. Does this bag say classic candy? We know about the debacle that usually ensues when classic candy is on the table, but I'm going to give this a go anyway. Okay, packaging notes. Let's go ahead and begin. Let's dive in. It's a little busy for me, a little bit too in your face, both with the product name and this kind of a retro styled design here. I also think it's an unusual choice that they made to only feature the real product here on this small window of it at the very bottom. And I think that is an odd marketing decision. Just with a casual glance, you don't even realize that the treats are being displayed. You really kind of have to search. I have already been squeezing at them a bit, and they do seem pretty soft and supple. And what won it over for me is that it's got molasses in there. And as I'm discovering more about these licorice treats, I'm kind of being won over by the ones that have molasses as an ingredient. And really, I don't find them to be too bad. Well, over the last couple experiences. So, on the back, we have a little bit of literature to enjoy. Bite-sized licorice pieces with classic pastel color coatings. Well, pastels, this is just the evocative business of that era in American history when all the kitchen appliances and everything were in pastels. They had just discovered them, I guess. Now my sniffer is ready. My palate is ready. Let's go for it. There's something of the Twizzler in here. It does have the aroma of red licorice, which I do love. And lurking there around the fringes, we have some black licorice aromas. Let's go. I do like the fact that this is kind of a blend of what I would consider the harsher, more for the experienced candy chewer, dark licorice aroma with the far sweeter red licorice smell. Is it licorice? I've always grown up calling it licorice. I guess it could be licorice. Alright, let's get a look at these bad boys. White, pink, green, and orange. I'm certain they're all of a flavor. I've grown to be a little enamored by these with our brief experience so far. They are dingy looking little things. Flat, see-through donuts. And the camera's not doing it justice, but here you can really see there's a modeling of dinginess there on this marshmallow looking treat. And then the green one, far flatter than the others. Well, inside you can see there's a uniform concrete looking grayish black along the inside of each one. This is an unusual looking candy. Especially here on the white one, you can see that it almost looks like something that's a little bit sticky has fallen on the floor and it's been rolling in some tiny threads of fabric or hairs. It does have a seriously dingy look. I'm going to see if the camera can pick it up a little bit. It looks like a dirty marshmallow. And you can see some cracking there on the candy coating along the outside. So for me, this is pretty unassuming. It's not polished in any way. I'm really actually a bit curious about the manufacturing process. I've been watching a lot of how it's made lately on YouTube, and their procedure, it just leads, I mean, how can a manufacturing process lead to something that's like this? It's quite a thrill to me. I love its unassuming nature. Does it look like candy treats? No, it looks like maybe a toy, or at the very most it kind of might have the habit of some gum. However, I am going to be swallowing these. I'm wondering if these candy shells are only for show. Okay, I can't resist any longer. I'm going to start with pure driven snow white. Well, no, this is like some dirty white snow. Maybe you dropped your backpack in it. Let's go. That aroma is really stimulating. Okay. Gonna let it melt a bit. Is my tongue totally white? Okay, with some timid tooth manipulations, it's like springy. It's bouncing right back into its tire shape. The heat of my mouth is softening a bit. We have the flavor, it's definitely more of a nasal experience than a mouth tissue taste so far. One period in college, I think it must have been for a few weeks, the only treat or candy or sweet item I had in my dorm room was some bunny molasses. I forgot the real brand name, but it was this big jar of really super dark, like cooking molasses called, it had a rabbit on the label. And that was my candy for those couple weeks. And I've been a fan of molasses ever since. And honey, all that kind of stuff. I don't really eat it very often, but I always have some on hand, and it's just one of those out of sight, out of mind things. I love honey and molasses. Okay, my timid chompings are really, I'm not having much luck. It's just sort of, it's pretty unyielding. It's now collapsed into kind of a small ball. My tongue's not white anymore. It's definitely not chewy in a way that gummies are. It's not really chewy in the way that most foods are. It's really resisting being imbibed in a good way. And now I'm left with this sweetness coating my tongue, kind of a smooth coating, but also an acidity there. It's left me quite thirsty. And even though I sufficiently rinsed my mouth, my palate's not free of the grasp of that one treat yet. It is really hanging in there and lingering. If you only ate one of these every time you wanted a candy treat, this bag would last you for weeks. Because even still, my mouth tissues and my nasal cavity are just filled with that licorice taste. Alright, pink. Yeah, this candy coating's different. Now this one tastes like paint. Like household cleaner. Like industrial color. strong, off-putting. I don't think I could be swayed into thinking of this as a food stuff kind of a taste. This really tastes like lacquer, or I guess my tongue's pink. I can't tell. Pinker than usual. Like a wood surface refinishing. Not piney or orangey. I mean, just like industrial oil sort of a taste. Like paint. Really, it does taste like what I imagine pink paint would taste like. Maybe that's their secret for creating these vivid hues. Alright, well, licorice taste, I guess, is coming out now. Hey, that was unique. Did they mention unique on the label? Classic. Well, I'm so turned off by the idea and the experience of most classic candies, but so far so good on this one. Although I'm not really sure if I'm enjoying myself. Okay, the palate, this time my palate's not heavily indoctrinated with this licorice taste, but getting through that pink one was odd. How about we go with green? Alright. This is, I think it's a food flavor. Very strange, and I can't place it. I'm having fun with this one. Giving a good frenzied chew. The charms are there. I think I'm more won over by the weirdness of the treats than the actual base licorice taste, because there's some odd flavors in here. One more to go. Ooh, l'orange. Well, is that banana I'm tasting? I just don't know. Well, I've got to say, I tasted and tried the other black licorice that I've reviewed months ago. Was nothing like this, and this is way better. It's got a great mouthfeel. Even one small candy can be chewed for a good long while. At the same time, it's presenting these odd savory flavors. The experience overall is far more savory than sweet. And I can't resist. I'm just going to have one. I'm going to have the handful. I'm going to go for it. I don't want too orange and too green, though. Well, let's just do it, you know. Preordination is going to be allowed to reign. Orange and green, that was the random ones under my hand. That's the random ones I'm going to be savoring. 2 green, 2 l'orange. Let's do it. I'm going to keep my green cup and my orange shirt in the frame. And we're going to do it together. Alright. The presentation changes immediately when you do multiples. It's got a strong red licorice aroma and taste. All up in here. It's like I'm eating good fresh Twizzlers. Or red licorice. Have Twizzlers taken over like Kleenex? You know how a brand name will come to represent every product in that category. Now, I'm just chewing and chewing. And the train keeps rolling. The flavor keeps unfolding. The charms are now apparent to me. This has probably taken its place at the top of the heap as my favorite candy that's marketed as classic candy. I mean, there's been some of them I've reviewed that I didn't even post the video of. They were so bad. I don't think I did anyway. Chuckles is the one I'm thinking of. Chuckles was horrible. They'll call them fruit snacks or fruit candies, but they're not gummy in any way. They're just ooey gooey, corn syrupy messes with horrible flavoring agents. But this is actually good. I mean, you get the unusual savoriness, the unusual blend of flavors, and it finishes with this base licorice that is pretty good. Although I'm really craving now for some water. If it didn't linger in my palate so long, I would like it a lot more, because I kind of usually like for the candy experience to be over when I swallow, you know, with only the barest lingering flavors. But this is definitely on the opposite end of the spectrum. Worth a try though. The original Snaps classic chewy candy. It's going to get you there. It's going to take you to some strange places, and you might like where you find yourself.